service businesses, over the last decade or so, technology has allowed these businesses to really carve out amazing niches for people to do really well with.
If I have a store and I put an on-site on, all I have to do now is sit back and everybody's going to come through there. And that's never always the case.
It's never the case.
Never the case.
What are some of the pros and cons around buying brick and mortar versus like service-based brands?
It depends on the motivations of people. Some people are just going to be really comfortable saying, I want to own something that has a storefront, that has a signage, that has a building, because that's going to drive people in. That's going to make the marketing efforts easier. It's going to make my life easier and simpler, because every time people are going to drive by, they're going to see this place. And there's some truth to that. I built 14 brick and mortar restaurants. I don't think we would have been very successful selling hamburgers on the side of the road without a brick and mortar. So I think there's some relative truth to that. But service businesses, over the last decade or so, technology has allowed these businesses to really carve out amazing niches for people to do really well with. So these are kind of the examples I'll give. If you're going to do a brick and mortar, say it's a restaurant, or say it's anything that's going to require a health club, something that's going to require wellness centers, it's going to require finding a really excellent retail space that gets approved. You're going to have to sign a lease. It's going to be a 10-year lease. Then you're going to have to find a contractor. Then you're going to have to build it out. So you're already investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in the franchise. And then you're going to wait maybe 6 months, 9 months. It took us 18 months to open our first. Meanwhile, you're not generating cash. Mm-hmm. You're just spending money.
Writing checks.
So it's just going to take you a lot longer. Some of these service businesses are set up that there's no office space required. You can start this from your home, no cost, and literally you're running this business within 30 to 60 to even 90 days. So you're generating revenue, you're generating income, you're attacking that cost and getting a return on that investment. So the first one is how much time it's going to take. Secondly, you can get into these service businesses now for $300,000 top end. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost you double, triple, quadruple to get involved in a brick and mortar just because of the cost and the expenses of that. So you're spending 4 times as much, and it's taking you 4 times as long to get started versus the service businesses. 3, you can get these services businesses running with as little as 2 people. If you have a painting business, you get 2 painters, you're off and running. 2 people, you don't need a lot. They can even be subcontractors, so your costs are going to be mitigated. If you're going to run a retail place, a wellness center, or a restaurant, your staffing needs are going to be far in excess of that. And guess what? They're never going to end either. You're going to constantly be searching for that. And a big expense in your business is going to be labor. It's going to, in the restaurant business, it's 30%. 30 cents of every dollar goes to labor. So it's way more profitable to be able to run a business that doesn't have that big cost involved. Mm-hmm. So those are just some of the real advantages to these service businesses. You're going to be able to do it for less money. You're going to be making money quicker, returning that investment. You're not going to be mired down hiring people every minute of the day, and you're going to have much more margin at the end of the day. Other than that, there's really no advantage. But those 4 advantages are really worth looking into. And I believe that the advent of technology is what separates the men from the boys in this kind of thing, because these businesses can be run literally from your phone.
Yeah, that's a good point, because one part of it is lead generation of a storefront. It is a perceived, because a lot of people think if I have a store and I put an on-site on, all I have to do now is sit back and everybody's going to come through there. And that's never always the case.
It's never the case.
Never the case. So really the reality is now between all the build out, you forgot an architect in there too. You know, it's a big expense.
Did forget the architect.
Got to get an architect in there. Got to get the contractor, get the permits, and get everything else. So by the time you do all of those things, like you said, you already could have a service-based business going. And with that same amount of money that you just put into all that construction and the lease and everything else, you could have already doubled your service-based business at this point.
Or bought a second territory or a third territory.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
To expand your opportunities.
I mean, you think about expanding a territory on a brick and mortar, whole nother nut that you got to crack. And so it's a big daunting thing. So yeah, I've had a few just recently, I feel more comfortable that people are just going to come through the door. Understandable, but that's not 100% accurate.
No, and to that point, even if you have a brick and mortar, you don't want to fall into that false sense of security that you're describing. The things you need to do to be successful as a franchisee on a home-based service business, you have to do the same things anyway.
Correct.
Getting out into the local community and marketing
Correct,
yourself
yeah.
and creating awareness and building your team and making sure customers are satisfied. All that has to be done the same.
Same thing.
So, and again, I'm not trying to say that brick and mortar, there's no place for it, because
Right.
if that's your passion and it can be done well, we're testaments to the fact that you can run a successful brick and mortar business. It's just nowadays, with the advent of the technology and what the options that are out there, you really need to take a look at some of these service businesses before you make a decision.
Right.
Because in my experience, I think it's the same with you, talking to people all the time, they come in thinking, I'm going to own a Wendy's or a dry cleaner or a laundromat or a car wash, and they end up signing up to become a roofing franchisor or gutter cleaning or window cleaning or painting, because they see all the benefits that they frankly don't know. And that really leads back to the benefit of working with a broker or franchise empire. We're explaining that, we're educating them. We're not just saying, oh, you want to buy a Wendy's? Okay, let me find you this next closest thing to Wendy's, which
Right.
is not what the right thing would be for them
Correct.
at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good points.
If you want to hear a little bit more about this or other pretty cool things that Chris and I can share with you that helps your franchise search, click the link below, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.